What's happening? Of course, you know it's your boy B Hot Radio. Shout in, stepping in the building. I got a friend and family member to the show off in this thing, the owner of Patchwerk Studios, Curtis Daniel. What's good with it, boss?
Hey man, I'm 45 years old. You done gave me a new nickname, man.
Patchwerk Curt.
Yeah, man. You gonna put that on me, man?
Guys, I had to get it in the caption. I had to let them know who you were and what you stood for, Curt. I mean, how's everything been going, though, man?
I mean, I got nothing to complain about, man. We've been blessed, and we still working, and you know we here because we about to celebrate our 30th, man. So life's good.
30 years of the most exclusive studio in Atlanta. I mean, longevity, Curt. How have you maintained relevancy and longevity throughout these 30 years, man?
I mean, I think we were blessed to start with what matters.
Okay.
That even now people things are fads and things go in and out of style, but a great location, quality products, great service.
Yeah.
Selling customer service never gets old, and you know we've been doing the same thing for years, and it seemed like people appreciate us more because all these other people ain't offering any customer service. And then we've been able, my daughter's 14, I know we haven't raised or changed our prices probably in like the past 20 years. And so I try to look at stuff as like if we want to make more money, instead of punishing my customers by raising the prices, I try to look at it and be like, how can we be more efficient, cut some expenses to make a little bit more money or whatever. So we've been fair. And we've been delivering a good product for a long time. And even some of the people that may have left, they end up trying other things, and then they end up coming back. And so it's been good.
When it comes to giving back to the community, though, things like I do music and stuff like that and master classes, I mean, can you speak on that and why it's so important for you to teach the next generation of creators and business owners in Atlanta?
Yep, I've always been on it, man. I've always valued education, so I don't subscribe to people that be telling people you don't need to go to school.
Yeah, I don't play that shit either.
Half the people saying that never went to school.
Yeah.
So you need to have somebody saying that they did it and they can tell you whether it was helpful or not.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just like when we got in the game, me and Bob Whitfield, two black guys, about 23 years old. There weren't a lot of people on the technical side in this space. And I seen a lot of the other studio owners kind of dismiss and throw our people away, making mistakes. And so it was me, I was like, if we in here and we doing this, we need to provide an opportunity for people that look like us and give them an opportunity to make mistakes and grow. So we've always been, you know, offering an intern program, doing workshops and masterclass. I just always think that when I look around in business, I try to look around at companies and institutions that's celebrating hundreds of years in business.
Yeah.
And most of the ones that celebrate hundreds of years are educational institutions. And so I'm like, we need to be doing the same thing.
Those are facts.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to Patchwerk, though, Curt, I mean, the legacy that y'all have in Atlanta is like one of the vertebrae of Atlanta, too, in the same breath, okay? Yeah. You cannot say this Atlanta hip-hop culture that went global impacts the world without the help of Patchwerk Recording Studios. Do you realize that at the same time, Curt?
I looked at it when we did our 25th year documentary.
Yeah.
And even during the documentary, when we were working on it, I don't think I kind of saw it because I keep telling people I was involved with the shooting, the script, and then I would always be looking on my computer or on my phone. But one time I went to go speak at my school at Michigan State, and they had these two big 70, 80-inch screen TVs in the theater room, and they had put together a sizzle reel to watch it. So I sat in the audience and I looked at it on a real screen with real speakers. And I remember after it was over, the people was clapping, and I was still sitting there. And I literally said to them, I said, damn, we actually did something. Like, we had an impact.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a business, for me, that's one of the questions that I ask myself is like, do you matter?
Yeah.
And you figure out if you matter, if you be like, man, if we went away, would people miss us? And would we make a difference? And even during COVID, when we stopped doing all of our workshops and master classes and events, people was clamoring for us to get back to that, and it kind of made me feel like, you know, people was like appreciating what we was doing. Exactly. And then it got a little bit of blurry in between that period because there was other people coming in that space who for the first 20, 25 years, they didn't really care about. There wasn't going to be no producers listening to your beats, talking to you on live and all this stuff. They dismissed them people. So we had a whole bunch of people that came into that educational space and was acting like they wanted to teach people and help people because they couldn't go on the road. So now, 3 to 5 years later, that space is cleared back up, and we're still doing the same thing, which is a blessing. And so I always look at it and just be like, check the history. We started doing it in 95, not when the pandemic happened, and we still continue to do it. We actually, for us, we had been doing it up until the pandemic, then we stopped. Other people had never did it, and then when the pandemic came, they started doing it, and then when it was over, they quit.
Come on.
We did the opposite. We had been doing it up into it, and we wanted to be safe, so we paused and stopped. And then when everything settled back down, we started picking back up our programs that help our people.
Cranking the party up back in 95, obviously, the Dungeon family had to come through there and record a lot of stuff. Rico Wade, somebody that actually spoke on the documentary as well about the impact of Patchwerk on the Dungeon family. What do you have to say about him and his legacy and the energy and the vibes that they brought to Patchwerk?
I mean, it's funny. I think about all the times whenever we celebrate something that even like the last time I called Ray, and he was like, I know, we was the first client, whatever you need. It's like I was literally this morning, no joke, I was thinking about this. I was like, man, some people, get upset and feel like that people don't remember things and don't give people credit. And I was like, these people probably sick of me because I'm always saying this is how we got started. These were our first clients. They gave us instant credibility. Dee was patient and told me what they were doing in studios in LA, Miami, and New York. Told us what we needed to do. Held our hand along the way when we made mistakes, convinced the guys to stay there. And so for us, it's like, man, it's the craziest thing just to be like, when people be like, who was your first client? And you be like, it was Organized Noize and Outkast. I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. I'm not skipping over anybody. That's literally how we started. Rico, when he passed, I mean, I hadn't heard anybody else said it, but I said it. I said, man, it's like we have superheroes. And they're walking amongst us. And for me, it's kind of like, it's hurtful for me when our superheroes kind of get taken for granted and get dismissed. And I'll be sitting there and be like, man, y'all acting like this person wasn't on MTV, crowd surfing. You act like his music didn't go around the world. You act like it didn't have an impact, and you act like this is normal. Like, these dudes are superstars. So for him, for a while, it's like it's a difference when certain people pass. And it's kind of like, it's a foundational piece of Atlanta. And not only just his contribution for the creativity and what they did. A lot of people, we ever do interviews, they'll be like, what makes Atlanta different than everybody area? And I said, it's the music. I said, it's our producers. They're not making beats, they making music. They're making music because their inspiration came from Organized Noize, who had live musicians and bands and singers and backgrounds. So people grew up listening to that, trying to emulate that. So the difference with Atlanta is that our producers ain't just making beats, they making music, soulful music. So for that to happen to him, I mean, I'm glad that they're kind of honoring, with the stuff that they're doing with the city. I'm glad that so many people came out, to the ceremony. And I'm glad that people bring him up still all the time. And I'm glad that they did the dedication. And we don't need to forget about the other two are here.
Exactly. Like Sleepy and Ray.
And what they've done. I mean, Rico was the mouthpiece. Rico was the energy, so he was out at front. So most people do it. But whenever, back then, all three of them was in the studio at the same time, and they all was bringing in creative input and making stuff magical. So for him, I just hope that people keep bringing him up. And for us, they're forever a part of our history and our legacy because they were our first clients.
Seeing a young Outkast in the studio, though, and fast forwarding 30 years later and then the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, what goes through your mind when you remember those times, Curt?
Man, the funny thing, when I be looking at the old videos, I be like, man, it wasn't no money. I mean, I look at the cars that they was driving. I look at the clothes that they was wearing. How many people, like, even for us, when they first started working there, we kind of got them by getting them tickets to the Falcons game.
Yeah.
And because there was no money, they didn't want to pay to park there, so they would park at the studio, and we carpooled to the stadium, broke as could be, and sat in the front row. They didn't have no money to buy no front row tickets.
Yeah.
So the thing that strikes me is that I just be saying, like, it's a blessing, because sometimes you work with people like that early in their career, whether it's Outkast, whether it's Ludacris, whether it's Jeezy, whether it's Lil Jon, whether it's Sierra, and these people become huge mega stars, and they have continued to grow in their career, and unfortunately, sometimes they outgrow you and they move on.
Yeah.
Our blessing is that we were able to grow with them in their career, so they never really left. So we started out in that house, and it was a smaller studio, and then we invested and got a world-class facility.
Right.
So now, even though Ludacris is doing Fast and Furious, we can do the ADR for Fast and Furious.
Come on.
Now that Jeezy is playing with the orchestra, we can send our crew out to go do the orchestra.
Yeah.
Now that the last Goodie Mob album, we got a chance to master that, because
that's hard.
we kept up with the skill set. And so now it's cool where you see these people that you've been knowing for 25, 30 years, and they be like, man, I kind of been out the game for a little bit. I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
But they trust us and they trust me. And they be like, Kurt, what are y'all doing? I was like, we know how to do the codes. We know how to do the copyright. We know. And there's an at ease to, it's almost like I'll see people just give stuff to me.
Yeah.
Or they'll just be like, once it's over there with Curtis and Patchwerk,
it's good.
That's one thing we ain't got to worry about. We worry about the other stuff. If they say they're going to be done on this date and they're going to do this paperwork and they're going to mix it, they're going to master it, they're going to code it, they're going to distribute it, they're going to shoot it.
Yeah.
It's a peace of mind that they have to go on and go do something else.
Damn right.
Yeah.
When you think about a young Jeezy, though, being able to work with him the whole time, how do you feel when you think to yourself, okay, I saw him in this studio recording, and then I rode down the street and the thing took over the street, and now he's performing with orchestras?
I feel about him in particular is you used to be able to feel the tension in the air when they came in the studio, all the BMF.
Why were they having it so stressful?
I'm just telling you, man, it's just like when they would come in, if you anywhere and 25 niggas come through there at once in all black tees and hats and whatever, it changes. Whatever energy we had in the studio is just chilling. You talking about you here by yourself, you chilling. And then if they come do an interview and 30 of them roll up in here, it just changes the energy in the room. Yeah. And so now I be laughing at them because, I probably got a text from 2 days ago. We're working on something I can't say. But 7:30 in the morning. Top of the morning, Kurt. Call, can you jump on the call right now? And I'll be laughing at them because when he comes to the studio now, he comes alone, and he comes before noon. And I'll just be sitting there laughing, and I'll be like, man, you done grew up or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for him, I think about, like, even him and Waka. Somebody accidentally called me Speedy, and Waka was with him, so I talked to him. Yeah. And every time I talk to him, I'd be like, man, you grew up. I'm proud of you, man. Like, that stuff that you're doing with your investments, trying to be more responsible with your relationships. Even Gucci and them, it's a thing when you see these people and they're 19, 20, 23 and they in these streets, they're chasing their dreams and they willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish their dreams. A lot of people get cut off before they have an opportunity to evolve who they really are. Yeah. So for these artists to see them is like, when I look back at their CDs, like we got a radio station now, so I was going through my CD collection, pulling out CDs so we can put them on there, and I pulled out Chris's Incognito. Yeah. And I got a young dude, 28, and I'm explaining this is why the first album was called Back for the First Time, because we actually did this album, and they got Timberland, they got Pimp C, and them added a couple records and did it. But to see them where they were coming in that Acura, you know what I mean? And then now they on the big screen doing movies and stuff like that. And then the cool thing about it is they have an appreciation for what we did, because the stuff that we did 25, 30 years ago, it's standing up.
You're damn right it is.
When they get on the stage and they hear it and they like, this shit still sound good because we did it right.
Damn right.
And they have an appreciation. So a lot of these people, like when they coming back, like when Luda was on tour with Janet, people don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, he wasn't the headliner, so he didn't take a band out. Yeah. But they brought a band to the studio. We recorded the band live.
That's hard.
We mixed it, EQ'd it, and mastered, and that's what they performed to. So when the DJ was playing records, it was one level, but when Chris came on to perform, it sounded like he had a band in the background.
That's crazy.
And so we're still in the background supporting our longtime clients and clientele.